Hello, everyone. My name is Leslie. Thank you for tuning back to the First-Gen Chisme podcast. For those who are new to our podcast, First-Gen Chisme is a bilingual online college resource for low-income, BIPOC, and first-generation college students. So we provide college resources and advice and tips for incoming, current, and graduated college students, all on our website and also our Instagram. So you can locate us in all of our social media within the end of the podcast when we announce it, but our name is just First-Gen Chisme under that. So yes, this is our third episode. Our topic today will cover the story of our co-host, Sofia Leal, and I'll let her introduce herself real quick. But yeah, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. So, Sofia, who are you?
Who am I? I'm joking. So obviously, my name is Sofia Leal. I'm gonna give my basic intro that I give to everyone is I'm a junior majoring in marketing with a minor in entrepreneurship at Kansas State University. That's who I am.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's who I am, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, so Sophia and I know each other from, I
Yesterday.
don't know. From who?
Yesterday, yeah.
Oh, yesterday, yes. From like 30 seconds ago. Nah. I actually don't know how we know each other, but we've always like followed each other on social media. We have like similar friends. And so Sophia reached out to me this year about, helping me out with this podcast and also First-Gen Chisme. So I love Sophia so much. She has been a great asset to the team. And we've been able to do great work together because we share a lot of the same experiences, but also because we're both really passionate about the work that we do for the community, especially first-gen students in colleges. So yeah, so kind of starting off with some of the questions. Usually Sophia is the one asking the questions, but this time I'll ask them to her, and yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. So the first question is, how do you identify? So some examples could be first gen, Latina, Latino, Latinx, etc. What are some of the identifications that you prefer?
For me, I think the ones that I identify with like every day would be obviously a Latina, first generation college student. I'm DACA as well. That's a huge part of my identity, I'd say. And then also I'd say Mexican American to be a little bit more specific, only because I was born in Mexico, but I was raised in like the U.S. And so my identity and culture, I feel like I'm a mixture of both. And so it's like that phrase that goes from like the Selena movie, like
I was just thinking about that.
Yes, dude. Ni de ahí ni de acá. And I'm just like, where am I? And so I feel like, I don't know, Mexican American is a nice one. Like, it's a weird balance, but it's something that I'm okay with and I'm comfortable being in. And I love both of them. So I'd say Mexican American, first generation, DACA, Latina. I'm the oldest too, so she, her, hers, I guess. That's important too.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's crazy, dude. We're connected. No, I really do believe like the more time you spend with the person, like the more connections. Not even just like whatever. Like mentally, spiritually, like I'm like, what the? I was just thinking about that. And the funny thing about that, like that scene, and for those who don't know, there's this scene with Selena's father, where Selena is, talking to her father about being Mexican and being American, and the father's like, when you're Mexican American, no eres de aquí ni de allá. So what that means is that you're not from here and you're not from there, neither there. So, it comes this complicated relationship. Yeah, Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say like we've been saying ni de allá ni de aquí, or however it went, right?
Yeah.
what they say, you're too Mexican to be American, but you're too American to be Mexican. So you're just like, where am I? Don't know. It's just like
Yep.
it's almost weird because it's just like you don't know like if you want to be more closer to your Mexican side, it's just like that disapproval of you're not Mexican enough. But then if you want to be on like more deep into like the American culture, it's just you're too cultural for us. Like
Mhm.
it's just like I guess battling those stereotypes. Like okay, what's too American? What's too Mexican? Like, and I think that's what we're trying to do. Like at least in this new generation, most people are just like, it's whoever I am. It's my definition of what I want it to be. It could be different for you, but it doesn't mean that your definition has to like affect me and how I perceive myself. And so I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. No, and that's like 100% valid. And the funny thing is like even though like I was born in Kansas, and I know I'm American, like I don't really feel American a lot of the times, only when I'm like when my mom tells me, or like when I have had the privilege to go back to Mexico, and that's when I feel really American. But here in college, like okay, please don't judge me on this, but like people will tell me like things about American culture, like a Beyonce's 2000 song, or like someone like a American artist that everyone knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, like I don't know. So, and yeah, it's embarrassing.
No, dude. And like I feel you because it's just like you said, like pop culture. Like everyone's, they're up, they know what's going on, or back then at the times and everything. And so I know for me, like, okay, this is embarrassing, like, and it's sad. Like, rest in peace, Fiddle. When I was just probably dumb. I don't know. When Michael Jackson passed away, I remember I'm like, who is he? And like
Mm,
all my friends, and like I remember in school they played like songs, everything, and like to honor him. And I'm just like, I've never heard of him, like ever, never seen him or anything. Like, okay, I'm lying. I once saw him, but it was for the movie like Scary Movie, and that's not a good representation of him. But like other than that, like I didn't know, and people were like, "What do you mean you don't know Michael Jackson?" I'm just like, I don't like. Is not who my family like. They don't even understand English. Like my family does. Well, they do now, but at the time, like they didn't, and they would just come at me, and I'm just like,
mm.
not what I was. It's not what my family listened to, or anything, and I feel like that backlash of like, what are you doing? Like, why aren't you up to date? Why aren't you da da da? So all that pressure, I'm just like, oh, I don't know anything.
Yeah, exactly. Like and it happened to me actually yesterday. Like my friend, she was like humming this song, and then like an international student was like kind of making fun of it as well, and I'm like, what is that? And then she's like, you don't know what that is? Like that's a classic American song. And I'm like, no, like bro, like in my house, you don't hear none of that. I like en la sala, las norteñas, las cumbias, bachata, like
Sunday
like
morning clean. Yup.
yeah, like I none of that stuff. So um, it's I don't know, like it's yes, we are in America, but we're so integrated within our culture that we feel that we feel very Mexican, or very of our culture. Um, but then at the same time we also feel very American, so it's a really complicated relationship.
Yeah, I would say that complicated relationship.
Yeah, but I think it's nice because I saw something. It was like, oh, we get to see like the memes of like both sides. Yeah.
And like we're able to understand both of them. Like someone from like one of the other cultures be like, "¿Qué es eso? What's that? What are they trying to say?" Like, I saw this one. It was a TikTok. It was of a girl who's just like, okay, this is more on like the bilingual side. Like, your mind has like two modes, and that, like it's an asset, it's a value. Like two languages, and you're able to jump back and forth, like do you have that ability, and people value that. But la misma vez, it's like I be getting confused. I'm like, how do you say, I don't know, apple in Spanish?
Mhm.
Some words, but that I'm just like, how do you say that? And so I feel like I'm I'm not fluent in both. But it's still like a skill, I'd say. It's still an asset to be bilingual. I don't know. It reminded me of that. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I have that too, and I feel dumb because it is small words like that. But yeah, I think it just comes with like knowing two different languages. Like,
Mhm.
um, yeah, it's fun. It's fun when like someone else gets it
No,
because you're like, oh, okay, yeah,
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
exactly. Like, okay, okay. You don't know that Beyonce song? Okay, okay. No, so it's great. So y'all, if you're embarrassed, like, trust me, I love Beyonce. Okay, like she's a queen, and all the other artists, but like,
After this.
yeah. But hey, we learn about it more and more, and it's fun. So, yeah, and so I guess kind of going back to your story and your experiences of being a first-gen Latina within Kansas State University, which is recognized as a predominantly white institution. I was going to ask, like, what have been some of your challenges there? And I know within our last interview that we had, we talked a lot about major specific. So you can also talk about that if you're comfortable with that, or if you just want to talk like broadly. That's also cool.
Um, I could talk about both. So to be more broad, it's just for me, like, yes, I'm a first generation college student, but it's not something that you see once you look at people versus the color of my skin. I'm a person of color, I'm brown, right? And I feel like that also plays a role. And so, like, although you can't see someone who's first gen, you could see their appearance. Um, and so I feel like that has been a challenge. And then being first generation doesn't help that, doesn't, in the sense of, like, let's say I go to college, I already have, I'm the only little brown girl in my class, right? My mom says, eres el frijolito en el costal de arroz.
Oh my god.
When she told me that, I died. Oh my god. Like, let me translate that in English. You're the little bean in the, I don't know, the pot.
Pot of rice.
Yes. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh.
Yo, your mom is so creative.
That's why I died. I'm like, mom, true, but like, I'm the little frijolito. And so, like, it's evident. And so there's nothing I can do about that. And I'm okay. But being first generation, I said that it doesn't help simply because um going into college is hard. Like, it's hard. You don't know what's going on. I can't ask like anyone in my family, like, mom, what does a major mean? Why do I need it? What's open option? Um, what's FAFSA? Like, I don't have anyone to ask, at least in my family, ¿verdad? And so that's what I'm saying. It's hard. So, like, I already struggle with, like, being my own identity and feeling true to myself and authentic in college, and then still having that challenge of, like, how do I navigate college? I don't
Right.
know, right? And so I think that has been a challenge, right? And to be more like, I could be major specific. I started off in architecture my freshman year, and I would say that that was one of the most diverse class, like, I've ever been physically in. There was, like, other people of color and everything, and so it was still different though, because everyone, or at least everyone who spoke about it, their parents, like, graduated from college. They had a degree. They were business owners. They were lawyers, doctors, everything, right? And I'm just like, I'm the first one in my family. Like, literally nothing, ¿verdad? And so it's just that separation between students and, like, someone who isn't first generation, they don't think about it. Like, it's just another day. They ask mom and dad, like, hey, mom, dad, help me with this. And they do. And I'm not saying my parents aren't down to help me, because they do and they are. But it's just like, it's the knowledge. Like, they, how do I explain this? They can't answer, like, what's the difference between major and career, if I were to ask that.
Right.
And it's something so simple now that I look back at it, now that I'm older and know of it. But at the time, like, I literally had that question: Mom, what's a major? Dad, what's a career? And like, they don't know. And so now I'm a business student. I'm a marketing major with a minor in entrepreneurship. Once again, much like Alejandra said for our first podcast, it's very male dominated, especially white male dominated. Um, and it's weird because in my classes, and this isn't related to first gen, it's just like the effort. There's like a huge gap. And so I don't know if it's just me, if I try too hard, if it's because I'm first generation, I have to work twice, triple as much as they do. But they don't take notes, they don't anything, they're on their phone. And it's just like,
right.
and that's why I have to study more or what? Like, I feel incompetent. That's just how I feel. Like, I feel like I don't belong there, and it's weird. Because, like, I don't know if do you know what imposter syndrome is?
Yeah, baby, it's on the website. Come on. Under the mental health paleta.
And so that's pretty much what I don't like saying suffer with, because, I mean, it is what it is. But I definitely feel that. I feel like I don't belong in this space. And so just reminding myself, like, why am I here? I'm not here to be best friends with Bob. I'm here to, get my family going forward, get my degree, get some money, get my parents out of where we're at, and, actually create something new for them, right? And so I'd say that. I just feel like it's definitely hard, but once you know, like, why you're there, if who you're there for, like, for me, I do it for my family, just remembering that I never lose in sight.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And back to the things that you were talking about the imposter syndrome. So for those that don't know what the imposter syndrome is, basically it's a feeling that students get, especially who are first gen, low income, not as how do I say, in a state of privilege as other students are. They often feel like something happened where in their application they only got there by luck, or that they don't belong there because no one else around them looks like that, or they just feel like, whoa, like I don't deserve this, like this is something like someone else in my community deserved this than I do. Stuff like that, where you just kind of see yourself that you just don't qualify for the positions that you were granted because of other peers and by you comparing yourself to the environment that you're in. And so a lot of us deal with that, especially in predominantly white institutions, because we are in classrooms with students who have, privileges that we don't have. I was talking to this guy. Oh, not like that. Not like. No. It's something weird. No. I was just conversating with him. Anyways, yeah. So we were talking, right? And we were in an architecture studio. And okay, so we were just talking about. I forgot what we were talking about, but we were just talking about, like, I think what his parents do, because he was saying that his parents are in some kind of medical kind of field. I don't know. And then we were also talking about cars. So it was just a conversation. And then I told him that, like, one of the cars that I really like is the Tesla, because I think it's like pretty cool. And also it's something that's like really popular right now, the Tesla, right? Because it's environmentally friendly. And he was like, oh, like my parents have a Tesla. And then I was like, what? Like, okay, in my eyes, Teslas are for people usually that live like an hour away, 30 minutes away from where I live, that live in better neighborhoods, or for YouTubers, if I'm being honest. So I told him, like, oh, that's cool, and then I said, that Tesla that has the butterfly doors that go up? I'm like, those are like the real deal ones. Like, those are really cool. And he's like, oh, yeah. That's the one that my dad has. And I'm like, wait. I was like, wait, baby, what? I'm like, the only person I know that has that is this famous YouTuber called David Dobrik.
I didn't say it to
I'm like, is your dad David Dobrik? Sorry. No, but yeah, I was like, yo, like that car is like
like, you need a stepmom? No, I'm joking.
you need a girlfriend? No, I'm joking. No, but really, I was like, oh my God, like, and mind you, this is just a simple conversation we were having,
Yeah.
had nothing to do with school, but just that difference of him having a family with really steady income, this Tesla, whatever, it's just this like that status is something that I'm usually not around, especially within my own community. So, and after that conversation, I started asking myself, like, who am I sitting around? Like, who is in my class? And, like, where do they come from? Like, because I was so surprised, bro. Like, okay, yes, I know people in college have money. I know that, and again, like, I don't want to sit here and say that I disrespect people who have money because, like, that's not who I am. If you have money, if you don't, like, I treat you the same. But, like, I was just really surprised because, like, I didn't know how much money they had, you know? Uh, and so I was like, wow, that says something, because David Dobrik has that, but, like, he's a YouTuber, like, they make money. And so for you, to be in this institution and to come from a family with those privileges, I was like, wow, that says a lot. So I don't know. It was really interesting, and it brought me back to this idea of our experiences, and I don't know. It's a lot to take in, but it's also kind of fun. Like, yeah.
And like, I was gonna say, and this girl, she did a Instagram story post with like one of the questions. And the question was like, what is something that as a child that you saw as a I can't talk. As a child, what is something that you saw as a privilege that meant you had money?
Mm.
So a lot of people were saying more than one bathroom. And
Mm.
then for me, if you had more than one bathroom, it means you were well off. Or
Mm.
having a garage, you're well off. Having your own room, you're well off. Um, Having food in the fridge, you're well off. And
Mm.
stuff like that. And like, I forgot, there was one that really stuck, and I was just like, that's crazy because it's true. It's funny now that I think of it, but it's like true as a little girl. I'm just like, oh, they're rich because they have it. Having stairs. Like,
Mm.
true story. The more stories your house has, the richer you were, and that's something that I thought as a little girl. Or también having sorry having ¿cómo se llama? Not silver fridge, pero it is
Magnetic or no?
no, los refis de metal, the silver ones rather than the white ones.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
I forgot the name. Anywho, those, like, that was a sign of you got money.
Mm.
That was just crazy seeing that, pero también I was thinking about it, like, to what you said. Um, his I'm not gonna make assumptions, but typically people who have like more money have knowledge and have their education and stuff, and like either whether that's through college investments or whatever type of knowledge they decide to go into, it's because of that education, right? Knowledge is power, ¿verdad? And so I just think about it. I'm first generation, so already feeling like I'm not necessarily behind. Well, I feel like I'm behind compared to them, generationally speaking. Like, my parents didn't go to college. My parents' parents didn't go to college. My parents barely graduated high school, right? And so I just think about it. I'm just like, okay, what if my parents did go to college? Where would we be? Would we have a Tesla in a garage?
Yeah.
And so, like, I just feel like you don't have to be like low income to be first gen, but at the same time, typically that's how it goes. And so, like, what I guess what I'm trying to get at is just they call it the intersect. I always say it wrong, so don't quote me, dude. Intersection.
Intersectionality?
Yes, intersectionality.
Mhm.
So I think just that and how they, mix and how they often have an impact with each other. That's
Yeah.
me.
No, yeah, and that's really interesting that you bring that up, because I have a friend here in my school, and we just talk a lot about where family works, because the examples that you were giving about being well off had to do a lot with homes and of where you live.
Yeah.
And we were just thinking about jobs, like parents, what jobs they have, and so in the beginning of the year, one thing that my school does is that, oh, this year it was a little different, but usually during orientation, there's this speaker who allows us all to stand up if we qualify for the question or the statement that he puts up. So if the statement is, if your parents work working class jobs, and then people rise. If your parents make more than like 70,000 a year, they stand up, so stuff like that. And so when it came to having like work class jobs, there was only a couple of students that stood up, right? And I was talking to my friend who was like, like we're just talking about that experience, and also just like our parents. And I don't know, it makes me wonder a lot, like how special it is that we are in the university, because man, I don't know, like a lot of these things are against us, like the idea that, like, you have to come from this family with these professions with this experience to attend this university. But we broke all of that. We broke that stereotype, and we stand on grounds that, you know that weren't meant for us, basically. And so I think about a lot being in architecture. My dad works in construction, so he's a roofer, and excuse me. And I don't know. I think a lot about, like, my dad is basically doing architecture here. All right, he doesn't have the title. He doesn't have that privilege of being at a 8 to 5 job with like all this money, but he does go on top of the roofs and does that labor work from 8 to 9 p.m. and, carries that stuff behind his back and does all that stuff. But in my eyes, that's architecture, regardless if he has a degree from Harvard or not. Like, who cares about that stuff, bro? Like, you talk to him about, what's the construction of this, he got it. He understands. So I don't like to, like, think of my family as like, oh, they didn't get that education, they just, like, they don't stand for, like, my white peers parents in their profession. My parents are just as qualified, even if they don't speak English, even if they don't have that degree, even if they didn't graduate high school. Like, my mom, she cuts hair, like, she's an artist. She has like all this knowledge about color, and about just making an experience for a consumer. So there's just those titles that aren't given to immigrant families, but I think that I want to give them to them. Even if they don't see themselves as that, I'm like, who cares? Like, you are that, you're doing it. You're just like society just sees you as this working class person and gives you these titles that you don't deserve. You're much more than just a roofer or a construction worker. You do a lot of that design, you do a lot of the business side of it. Like, who gets to say, like, who you are? Like, obviously there's some technical things with, like, you can call everyone a doctor, right?
Yeah.
Still, I think there comes a lot of power with titles, and I believe that I can give them to my family if I want to.
I was gonna say, cause there was a class that it wasn't a class, but it was like a workshop about intersectionality.
Mhm.
And I remember one of the presenters, she asked all of us, like, she introduced herself, right? And then she said, like, this is what she is, da 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 da. And in all of that, she never mentioned her degree. Like, she did at first, but during that, like, section of it, she didn't. And that's what she was trying to get across. It's like, she said something. She's like, she's a musician because she likes playing the violin. She's an artist because she likes painting. She's a business owner because she sells da 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 on the side, etc. Right? She's a learner because you're always learning. She's a teacher because she's always like, teaching stuff, like obviously teaching us there in that moment, or like she's a mentor because this and that. And like, okay, it's a title, but it's not like related to your education. And so she had us questioning like, what are you? What are your interests? What is something that you're good at? What do you like? And so like, I don't know. I guess for me, I'd be like, okay, I'm a student, I'm a learner, I'm a teacher, I'm a mentor, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business owner,
Say it.
I'm a creative. Exactly. Like stuff. You are what you are and what you like, what you do,
Mm-hmm.
So I like how you mentioned that because it's just like, say my dad, he's a painter. I don't know if that'd be underneath construction. I'm not sure. But I know he does construct, but he's like a full-time painter. Like he made my entire room, dude. My entire room. Like our what is it? Our basement wasn't finished and he finished it, and the best thing ever. But those qualities, like my dad didn't get his, what do they call it here in college? Like your, ¿cómo se llama? We have it here at K-State, like your construction engineering degree. He doesn't have that, but he can do it. He knows the math. He knows like everything, but that's so. Like you said, similar. You don't need that actual like degree and background to, I guess, validate what you're doing. Does it make sense? Like you get like I think of it like to make to make it simpler. It's just like you don't need an entrepreneurship degree to be an entrepreneur, right?
Mm-hmm.
No. Like you're still learning. You find ways to learn. You find ways. How can you get this done, and you do it, and that's what makes your title your title. So like, if I want to know how to sell stocks, I'm gonna do the research for it, right? That's the knowledge, right? What would my title be? I don't know because I don't even know what they're called. But you see what I'm getting at, ¿verdad? So I like that.
Yeah. I mean,
we're making our own story.
Right. Exactly.
It's our reality.
Our reality. No, really, it is because, I mean, if we don't make it, who's gonna make it for us? And the people that are gonna make it for us are the people who see us often as inferior than them. So, we really do gotta stand up and say who we are and like what we do, and be explicit that we don't have the same opportunities as you, but yet we're still resilient and still do a lot of the things you do. Yeah. So that reminds me a lot because I actually used to be quite embarrassed about like my dad being a construction worker because he used to pick me up from soccer practice when I used to practice on this like full white girl team. And okay, my dad's truck is messy, all right? like he has everything everywhere. Like every time you get off his truck, girl, like something falls. Something falls out, all right? It can be a bottle, it can be little trash, anything. So, everyone that would get picked up in these really nice cars, like nice and clean. Yes, my dad would pick me up, and every time I got in, everything will fall. And then when I would try to get on, there'll be like a nail in the seat. So I'll be like, oh man, something's poking my butt. Like, so it just be so uncomfortable, not only because of that nail, but because like people would look at me like, oh, and it goes even further. When I would get dropped off at middle school, early in the morning when my dad goes to work, he would drop me off with his van, and it was like so loud, and it had this beeping noise when he would reverse. So he would do it like, and I would get off at 6 in the morning. I'd be like beep beep beep, and everyone would be looking at me like, girl. So it's just like it was always a little bit of like, oh my gosh, bah, like come on. But now I value that uniqueness of my father's job and who he is. I don't know, and I'm not embarrassed of it. I'm proud of it. I stand by that ground. Like when people ask me what my parents do, I'm like, they do this, they do that, and And yeah, I think that's something that I've learned through being in college, like being proud of like where I come from, because it's rare for us to be, you know, in the position that we're in, and we're just opening doors, and I don't know, I think it's really special. So yeah, that's it's funny.
No, you can see what I see. And like honestly saying like for my dad, I mean, he had stuff in his car, but it wasn't falling out. It wasn't like that. But no. But like saying like for me I wasn't like too proud of like where my parents worked from. But I was a kid, and you know, as a kid you're more susceptible to like learning what those like what is seen as or portrayed as good, elite, and then not good, poor, lo que sea. And so obviously, like for me, same. Once I got older, once I started learning, I'm like, no, I'm proud of my mom works at. I'm proud of my dad works at. You know, it's just equals just as good, right? And so it's like you said. I don't know if that's just a kid thing or once we grow up, we get more knowledgeable. We're learning también.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's fun. Like thinking a lot about, I think, your identity and where you come from. And I think it's something that changes as well. Like yesterday, I was in a meeting with Mango Street, which is a Latinx club here at RISD campus that I helped start. And we talked about the definitions of Hispanic / Latino. And Jennifer Castro, who was our presentee, she showed this beautiful timeline where she showed us how she identified throughout the years, and she showed us how it changed. Like she started off as being represented as Spanish, because in the East Coast, a lot of people like call themselves Spanish even if they're not Spaniard. It's mostly in Providence. I don't know. It's just something that happens. But then she realized like who she is, and she's like, I'm Latina. And then she was like, you know, I'm more than that. I'm Dominican. And then she was like, oh, I also have African ancestry. So she's like, I'm I'm Afro Latina with African ancestry. Oh no, sorry, African descendant. So you know, and it just continued. And so seeing that progress, I think that's really cool. Yeah, especially being at college where like you ask yourself every day, like, bro, who am I? Like, and often you have to be someone else when you go back home because, you know, maybe your parents don't understand what Latinx means, or, you know, what you might encounter in college where you have to kind of like hide it away for a bit. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting.
And I was gonna say something, but I know what I'm trying to say. Damn it. I literally forgot. Oh, okay, I remember now. It's something that you said earlier. It's just like me personally, like growing up, especially in high school, like I'm sometimes I feel like I'm a little bit too American. Or at least I did in high school, and that's just because you know I was surrounded by you know people of color, Mexicans, and other cultures, and so I just felt too American. And so like I remember that more specifically, like I never liked norteñas. I never liked cumbias, nada. If anything, I liked Romeo Santos and ¿cómo se llama?
Prince Royce?
Yes, Prince Royce, and that
You
was
look like someone who liked Prince Royce.
those are the only like Spanish speaking singers that I would listen to Enrique Iglesias too, but that's when I was younger. But
Yeah.
throughout high school, like it was just Romeo Santos and Prince Royce, and that's it. Everything else disgusting. But once I came to college, like it just hit me. What do they call it? That culture shock.
Hmm.
Like I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City, Missouri has like almost 500,000 people in it. Coming to a town where there's like 25,000, like one that was crazy. And then especially when those 25,000 only like 2,000 of them are people of color, like even crazier. Oh my god, I just made eye contact with someone outside. He looked at me and I'm like but like it's a culture shock, you know, going from something that was so normal that you wouldn't even think about to now it's just like, damn, it's just me and like Sally over there. Sally's my friend, but it's not who I'm trying to
Ali
reference.
Lopez, right?
Yes.
I love her. Uh-huh.
She's my roommate last year. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I really, not that I just got myself in that state, because there's people there trying to help you and that are on the same boat as you. But it's hard finding those people at first once you get to college. And so I was just really like, damn, it's me, myself, my culture. And so that's when I really started doing some digging. I'm like, what do I love about my culture? Because I never questioned it, because it's like something that I've always had with me that I never questioned, like, why?
Mm-hmm.
And so once I came to college, I'm like, okay, how do I get more rooted into my culture? And so that's when I started listening to like more music, branching out, art, everything. And it was like, it's a beautiful, like I'm still doing it. Like you never stop learning. But like another thing, once you go to college, you have to start cooking for yourself. My freshman year, I didn't, but like that's because I had a meal plan. But it was like last year, sophomore year, I had to learn like how to start cooking. And TBH, I'm not a good cooker. Like my mom fed me. Like I didn't have to worry about that. And that's just like my experience growing up. Like I can make arroz, I can make cereal. No, I'm joking. But like you get the point. I can make basic meals. But now that I was in college, I'm just like, I have to cook. I'm not gonna eat burgers all day. Like, you know, I'm not gonna eat American food all day. And so that's when I started doing like more digging. Like, okay, what's like some of our like normal cultural foods that I can start making for myself? It's like, I don't know, enchiladas, tomatillos, or entomatadas, you know, stuff like that, right? And so like while I was doing it, I didn't think of it. Like, why am I cooking some enchiladas rather than making, I don't know, I was gonna say burrito, but that's cultural, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, a sandwich or something.
Yeah, then a sandwich. Like, why? It's just like I'm craving my culture. I'm craving. I want to go back. They're like, you know, you have to make do's with with where you're at, and like, you know, like we've been saying, it's a privilege. Like I have the privilege of being here in school, and I have to be grateful for that. So you know, make what did I say? Make it do with what's I don't know.
with what you got, no?
Yeah, I don't know. I think so. So you know, you just have to make it work. And so that's when I try to add like a little bit more of my spice, my little culture in there. So it's beautiful, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah, that was beautiful.
I'm joking.
I say that so much, but it really was like, because I see myself within the words that you speak. Oh shit! What? That was kind of poetic.
That was.
Write it down. No, but I really do though. Because I mean, with music, I guess I have been like a fan, but I definitely grew more while in college as well. But I think in terms of the way I perceive myself, you know, I've always been someone who was Mexican, of course, but like the way I dressed kind of changed. Like I was always this like soccer girl, but then it became a bit more artsy, I think. But then when I came here, like I would always wear my earrings, like my Mexican earrings. Yeah, and that I bought from Mexico, so that was a way for me to represent myself. And then it grew more of that, you know, and also just the things that I wore, or just stuff like that, like I express myself through clothing and through accessories. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know how to turn them off. I need to find a way. Okay, sorry, but yeah, so I expressed myself through that, and I don't know, it's been really interesting because even my mom tells me like, you look so Mexican, you know, and I'm like, yeah, I guess I do. And yeah, it's a way to feel myself, you know. So yeah, that's something that happens a lot within college for sure. But yeah, so let's see. So I guess like I kind of want to like go back to something you said. So in terms of, you know, we've been talking a lot about like how we often don't feel represented within our schools, so we have to find ways to do that. So what kind of keeps you motivated to continue to step on your grounds at college and do it? I know you spoke a lot about your family, and I'm wondering about, like, what kind of support they give you and you show to them. How's that been for you throughout college?
Like for me, I have like multiple answers depending on the situation or who's asking, who's wanting to know. Like if I'm being honest, I do it, and it's just like safetyness too. So like, and with you, like here, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be raw. I don't even like saying that word. I'll be honest, like
Yeah.
I'm an immigrant, so are my parents. On their firstborn, we were born in Mexico, and so like I've been saying, like I do it for my family. I'm here because of them. And so I feel like by attending college and graduating, like that's how I'm able to pay them back. And that's just the bare minimum, right? Like what I like to say is just like they sacrificed everything that they have done for me to be here. And I know there comes barriers in life, but for me, I feel like if I wouldn't have attended college, like I would have been completely lost because I feel like I would have been a failure. And I'm not saying those that don't attend college are a failure because that's not the case. But for me personally, that's how I would have felt. For me. And that's just because like that's something that my family always stressed. They're like, Sofia, like the only way out is like through school. You have to echarle ganas, you have to try, you have to do this and that. And as a little girl, I'm just like, oh my God, mom, leave me alone. Like, do my homework later. It's fine. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And like as I got older, like I finally understood why. And it's just like I'm glad that my parents stressed that importance. Because I just think I'm like, what if they never valued if my parents didn't value school? Like where would I be? Like I probably wouldn't be where I am now. But at the same time it's just I'm thankful for them for stressing it. Although at the time I hated it, but I'm here, so it worked, right? That's what they like to say because I'm the oldest, and so like they're really strict on me, or they were at the time. And so like, oh well, you turned out fine. We're gonna do the same thing for your sister or whatever. They're gonna be more lenient. I don't know. That's for them. And we immigrated over here. I was just a baby. And so my mom, and this is funny. Like, obviously she stressed the importance of school, but like, I don't remember this that much. But it's something that she always tells me. It's just like, whenever I was like 10 or 9, most kids whenever they want a coloring book or something like something to draw on, I'd ask them for like a math book for me to work out my math, and it was so weird, but I actually did enjoy math, right? And so that was just funny. So going back to like the motivation itself, I'd say like it's for my family. Like I want to make their sacrifices worth it. Because I don't know, like, well, you probably do. Coming from an immigrant family and being an immigrant yourself is just like it's hard. And I just think about it. I'm just like, okay, college is hard. Yes, it is. But if my mom and dad were able to come to a whole new country, leave everything behind, not know the language, not know where to even or who to go to, who to talk to, who to anything, like how are you gonna buy like stuff from the grocery store if you don't know what the currency value is, verdad? Like stuff like that. Like to us, like now that we've been here, it's so like it's common knowledge almost. Like you don't even think about it. But if like I try to put myself in their shoes, if they were able to do all of that for me, like the bare minimum I could do is actually value the importance of school and give it back to them. And so that's what keeps me motivated. Another thing I would say that my freshman year, first semester, like it was rough. Like it was rough. Like I was about to drop out. Like dead ass. Well, oops. Can we curse?
I think so. You're good, girl. This is es el chisme, chica. Usted ya sabe.
So like I was like this close to dropping out. And so I just thought about it. Like I was really doing some reflecting. I'm like, is that really what I want to do? Like I just because it was rough. Like it was really rough. Me and First Generation like definitely did not make the transition easy. And so I don't know. I just kept remembering. Like I told my mom like, I don't know if this is what's for me. I don't know if I should even be here at K-State. I don't even know if, because I was architecture, I don't even know if architecture is the right major for me. And if not, I don't even know what I'm gonna go into. Like, I'm gonna just drop out. You know, I didn't want to spend an extra money a semester's worth because, you know, we don't have that money to be spending, right? And so I'm like, I'm gonna just drop out, save that money, and see what else. And I don't know, something in me, and just talking to my mom, it's just like, no, like, my parents did not do all of that for me to give up so easily in one semester, you know? And although they may not understand like the challenges that I face here at school, I do know that they would have like felt some type of way because of it. That's not what they wanted. That's definitely like not what I wanted for myself or for them to like feel towards myself or feel can't talk feel about me. Um, and so I was trying to avoid that pressure too. My family saying like, no, don't do it. Like, being the failure of the household. But you know, I obviously stick through, found a major. I was open option for a while. Sophomore year came around. That's when I declared my major in marketing. It's fine. But another thing that I would say, I just keep jumping around.
Yeah, go ahead. This is your space.
Another thing is just like, it's sort of I did talk about it earlier. It's just finding out who I am culturally. And so, like you said, you know, with the little aretes, I bought them from Leslie. What I wore, what I did on college, and so that's when I became more involved. And so, like, I got involved with Halo, the Hispanic American Leadership Organization here. That was the org that helped me out my freshman year. Like, that made me feel connected. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give that back. You know, for me to pay it forward, I'm gonna be a part of the exec team, and that's my goal. I want to make sure that either incoming freshmen or incoming transfer students don't feel what I felt my freshman year. You know, I want to make sure that they're straight. They feel culturally accepted. They have that space. They have, you know, they feel at home, and so that's also what keeps me motivated. It's just like, okay, how does the phrase go? If not me, then who? Or if it's not me, then who? It's just like, you know, I've been there. I did that. Let's move forward. What can I do now to help those that are in that spot? And so that's me paying it forward. You know, I got involved in other things. I started an org with Esta Alejandra. I know she talked about it a little bit earlier or in the first podcast. Latinas, Unidas, Poderosas, y Educadas, stuff like that.
Punto.
Dude, for real. And just like stuff within the community, you just have to get involved. I don't know. That's what keeps me motivated. Like, I think about it. My freshman year, I really didn't do much. I focused on school. Went to Halo meetings, and that was it.
Right.
A little bit more, a little bit less, but that was it. You know, sophomore year came around. I'm like, yeah, let me put everything onto my plate, right? Big mistake. But it's fine. Like, you know, I grew as an individual, and it's like, I'm grateful for that. I mean, I'm not freshman on my junior year, currently where I'm at now, still involved, but you know, now I know how to balance myself. Now I have a clearer path of what I'm doing, what I want to do, where I want to go. And I don't know, I just feel like I have a clearer purpose. So it's just something that comes with time. What did I say? Trials and tribulations. Oh, I'm trying to remember all these quotes. It's just something that comes with time. Like, once you're in the moment of struggle, it's not like, it's almost hard to see the future of what the next step is. But once you overcome it, it's just like, wow, like, it was hard, but like, reflecting back, it's almost like it was easy. Like, it just took that to fix it. What? I didn't know that. You know, like, shit. No, it's definitely my family, remembering like why I'm here, who I'm doing it for, and it's just other students who felt the way that I felt my freshman year.
Yeah, that
I'm joking.
that was beautiful. No, wow, that no, it's really cool because you talk a lot about building community. And I think that's one of the main things that we're trying to do here, with First-Gen Chisme, with doing the podcast, to support other students who will go or will be or are in current situations that we have been in terms of being in these institutions. So we hope we can continue doing that work, that community work, with our website, the podcast, events, other ideas that we come up with. Um, so yeah, I don't know, and I don't know, it's really cool to see like how you understand like your first year, you're like, oh man, like I wasn't really integrated within the Latinx culture here at K-State, I struggled, but then like you were seeking, you were seeking that help. And I really encourage students to do that. Even if you're not Latinx, if you're Black, look to see if there's a Black organization within your institution, or, however you may culturally identify, because I think they can be really supportive. And if you don't see them on your campus, baby,
The change you want to see.
right, make the change you want to see. And that's on period.
Or what did they say? Make your own table or bring your own shit to the table. Like, really, dude.
Really, no, seriously.
Who?
Right. If not then who? And I think that's like the main
Oh, it's nothing.
yeah, like for this podcast, because we really have to stand up. Like, oh my gosh, wait a second. I just had like a whole
That's how I feel whenever I talk.
oh my god, no, yesterday one of our Mango members was like, I haven't talked in 6 months, all right, like because COVID and everything. Yeah, so no, but okay, so you said if not then who, right? So it also goes back to the conversations we were having about identity and calling our names, like who we are as people. Like, if we're not gonna stand up for ourselves and be explicit on who we are, then who's gonna do that for us? And it goes back to finding a community. If we don't find a community for ourselves, who's gonna do it for us? No one else is gonna do it for us. They're gonna try and label us into organizations or positions that don't stand for what we believe in. So we have to be loud and explicit within institutions in America. No.
The truth, like I know we're laughing and stuff,
but it's true.
Like literally, Leslie started her own. I don't know. Was it you who founded it, or was it with someone else too?
No, yeah, I founded it with help of two of my friends, Michelle and Jen.
Yeah, it's like you and your friends founded it. You made your own org. You made your own table. Same for Island now. We saw something. We saw an opportunity, and we're like, you know what? This is how we're feeling. And this is what we're gonna do, and we did it.
Right.
Know? And it's not just for us, but it's also for others. Like it almost reminds me. It was just like how in school, like the professors, they're like, ask questions because I'm pretty sure someone else is gonna have the same question.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's literally what it reminds me. If we're strong and to find our own community, like I bet there's 2 other people who are just on the same boat as you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I promise you, there are. So might
right.
as well just do it,
Yeah.
Anyone at all. Like they're helping a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And it's those simple things like you said, like simple organizations, simple missions that you stand for that could mean a lot to a person. That could be an invitation for them to stay in college, which is something you would never imagine, because you just don't know people's story and you don't know what people might be going through. But maybe an organization that you make or inviting someone to, like you said, to the table, that might save them more than you think. So yeah, I think that's something that we should ponder on for the rest of the week. Like, what can you do to not only help yourself, but also your community? And think about like, how is it helping them, and yourself as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I want to thank you, Sofia, for sitting with us here with me. I said us with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess yes, us, because with the whole First-Gen Chisme community and talking to us about like your story and your experiences, and I really really appreciated this because it was really lighthearted and fun and really energetic, and I think a lot of the topics that come with our identities can be really hard to talk about. Um, but no, you made it really cool, and yeah, thank you for that. It's nice because, like I said, I can really see myself in you, and I'm sure a lot of people can as well.
Aw,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh my gosh, that was funny. If y'all Alejandra, I'm like in the first podcast,
I forgot.
she said that she was like,
Really?
yeah, that's why I'm laughing because okay, so I like get like tell her something, I compliment her, and then she's like, "Oh, you're gonna make me cry."
Oh, yeah. You don't make me cry.
she's like, "No, I'm kidding, I'm kidding," and she like talks, and I'm like,
Oh my god.
yeah, that was that's a funny moment.
No, I remember like once you start spending more time with people, like the more like you guys act alike. Like
Yeah,
me with Ella, me with you, like
yeah, no, really. But it's funny and it's cute. Um, but yeah, so thanks again, Sophia. This was so much fun, and yeah, if you're listening in, you can also watch on our YouTube, if you want. We're under First Generation College Chisme. That's our username. Um, and yeah, keep staying in tune for our next podcast, and other invitations that we'll have and visitors stories. So I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. It was really fun. And yeah, let's continue to ponder how we can help within our community and others and ourselves. So yeah, that was the third episode. So thanks, y'all.
bye.
Adios. Bye. See you next week.
Peace out.
Peace out.